Welcome to educator.com and another lesson in Adobe Illustrator CS6. Today we're going to talk about templates, and you can't talk about templates without saving files or exporting files, so that's what we're going to get into today. So even though this is called templates, it's about much more. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to open up a new file first because I'm going to show you how to use a template layer. Now I have a new file here. I'm going to place some pencil art that I scanned in, and I'm going to link it. I want it to link. If you don't link it, it's going to embed the file into your document, and especially if it's a raster image, it's going to increase the file size astronomically. You don't want that to happen, so keep it linked. And let's place the file here. So that's placed. So now what I want to do is make this a template layer, so I can click template layer and automatically dims the images and it creates a non-printing image. So that's the default is 50, but I like to do mine around 20 or 30. Whoops, not 300. And I'll click OK. And also you can tell it's a non-printing layer because it's in italics. So even if you should happen to leave this in your file, it won't print, but that's obviously not the ideal situation. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call that line art. And you see this is a printing layer because print is selected. Okay, and now what I want to do is zoom in, and I want to bring in my brushes from the library that I created. So this is a page from a graphic novel, and I already have some comic book brushes that I like. So I will pull these in. So let me choose brush. Get that out of there. Okay. So, whoops, it's way too big. Okay, so I'll deal with the brush here. I guess a little bit smaller. I usually don't zoom in this much, so okay. And so you see, this makes it easy to start doing stuff with the brush. Okay, so that's what the tracing thing is for. You need to see me trace the whole thing. Okay, so that is your template layer. And now let's talk about templates. All right, so now let me open up another file. And for graphic novels or comic books, I always have, I have things that have to be done all the time, creating panel borders, crop marks. So rather than creating all of this, every time, I created a template to use. So this is not a template now, it's just named template, but it's actually not. So what I do in order to create a template layer, there's two ways to do that. A template file, you go new from template, not new from template, file, save as template, or you just when you save it, you have the choice of making it a template. So here you have Illustrator template there, and it ends in AIT. Okay, but what we want to do here, and that's where you can save it where you want. So here I'm going to save as template, and this time when you do it that way, it goes automatically into the template file in Illustrator. Okay, so, and the extension is AIT for Adobe Illustrator template. and now save. Okay, so now I'm going to close this file. And now watch what happens when I open it up as the template. So now you see it's in the template folder, which wasn't there before. So now I'm going to click on this, open. And now you see it comes as untitled. So now I can name this whatever I want, and it becomes a new document. So this way your template is always the same. You never have to worry about messing it up because it always opens up as untitled. Okay, so that is how you create a template file. All right, so now let's go into the native formats of Illustrator. These are the native formats Illustrator uses. And by native format, it means that you can still edit this in Illustrator. Everything is still accessible to you. All the normal Illustrator tools, even though these are different file formats. So obviously the first native format is Adobe Illustrator. EPS stands for Encapsulated PostScript. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. FXG stands for Adobe Flex Flash Builder. And SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Okay, so now all of these formats can cross platforms, and also you can use them for web and print and broadcast. And because this is all vector, so it's resolution independent, so it doesn't matter. So that's what you. This is what you want to use. So let me just go into these files quickly. Obviously, I've been saving stuff as Illustrator the whole time, so that's not a big deal. But now if you want to save it as an EPS, you get different options. So you have Illustrator EPS, but also a CS6, but also you can save it down to previous versions of Illustrator. So if you're working with someone who doesn't have the latest version, you can do it like that. You can keep things transparent, or you keep your backgrounds transparent, or you can keep it opaque. And that by opaque, it means it will make it white. You can embed fonts, but actually you really want to, if you send this out to a printer or to somebody else, you want to make this font, you want to, instead of embedding the fonts, you want to create outlines for your fonts. Include your link files, and include CMYK, PostScript, and RGB file. Now, if you've created this in CMYK, there won't be any RGB files. Okay, so those are your options for EPS. Now let's look at if I want to save it as a PDF. Okay, so you have the Illustrator default, and you can change it for high quality print, and that's if you print it on a LaserJet or another home printer. Press quality is what you would pick if you're going to send it to a printer, actual professional printer. Smallest file size, maybe this is only good, you're sending somebody an email or somebody something, or it's just for viewing on the web. You can change the compression, how much it's downsampled to. You can choose whether the crop marks or the printer marks show. The output, the color profiles. And here's where you can add the fonts. Again, you should make them. Actually, in the PDF, you don't have to do that, so because they'll be readable. So you don't have to make outlines for the fonts, but it's always good to do that. So if you want to do security, and this summarizes everything that you've done. Okay, so that's everything in PDF. So now save as FXG. And again, you have various options here, and it tells you what it is here. So I'm not going to read all of this because I want to get to other things here. All right. And save it as SVG. And again, this creates the SVG profile. This determines how the type is going to begin. And again, the descriptions are down here, so you can read that.